Hey guys, my name is Bando. This is Brexit Bando, and today we've got something to talk about. Finally, it's been a little thin on the ground, unfortunately, rumor-wise, and of anything of interest. Now, don't worry, I haven't joined Blue Sky. I'm not that sad, but there was a link posted here recently. The factory of Vallejo, which I believe is in Spain. Yes, Spain. Catalonia, I believe, actually. Have gone on strike. The workers, 98% of the workers have walked out, and they have voted to go on an indefinite strike. So, I'm not a big fan of striking. I'm not a big fan of unions, if I'm going to be brutally honest. But I also believe that a worker has a right to demand fair compensation for their work. I do not believe the things are mutually required for each other. But let's talk about this as it affects us as hobbyists. One, if you use Vallejo paints, I would stock up if that is the brand that you prefer to use, because this will have a knock-on effect. Vallejo has struggled to meet production requirements in the past anyway. So they will be playing catch-up even if they fix this in the next couple of days or so. Two, if they get the demanded 15% wage increase and the improvements to the Villanova Ilegaletra factory, this will require payment, and that means the price of Vallejo paints will probably go up. So, two options. One, stockpile the paints if your local retailer has them now. Two, use this as a wonderful opportunity to go out and try one of the many different brands of paints out there, such as AK Gen 3, TT Combats, Army Painter's new range. End of the day, this is not a huge issue for us as wargamers. We are spoiled for paint now. So let's have a look at the translation of this article, because I'm not going to put you through my awful pronunciation of Spanish. So the workers at the paint factory for Vallejo have started a partial indefinite strike of 2 hours per shift. So it's going to have a knock-on constant effect on how much they can do a day, and has support of 98% of the workforce on the first day of stoppages. The president of the Works Council, Patricia Perez, explained that the main demands are an improvement in hygiene and safety, and there are major deficiencies in the maintenance of the building and an obsolescence in the machinery. Okay, so if there is some sort of danger to a worker, I fully support the idea of a worker walking out of that building. As an employer, you have a responsibility to provide a safe and clean workplace. That I cannot deny, will not deny, fully support that. Workforce is also demanding a 15% wage increase in line with the company's turnover increases, while in the social area they are demanding the creation of protocols against harassment. Again, yes, I believe that you should be paid fairly. However, you are not entitled to a pay rise just for the fact that you are there. If you negotiate a pay rise, if you can explain why you deserve a better wage, and simply because the whole system of the world is absolutely jank and inflation destroys your value, is not a good enough reason, in my opinion. If you are just coasting along doing the bare minimum at your job, I don't believe you deserve a pay rise. I'm sorry. I don't know. I can't explain it in any other better way. Yeah, it's not very nice. Life isn't nice. Sorry. However, nothing should stop you being able to go to your boss and go, "Hi, I'd like to have a 15% pay rise. This year I have accomplished these goals. I have improved the following metrics, and I have, generated this much value for the business." I believe 15% is a fair compensation for the value I add as an employee to this business. Now, a good boss will look at that and will probably have already noticed these things and should be ready to work with you on that. That is it. That is how it's supposed to work. If the factory is, hey, we've had a huge increase in the amount of money we've made, fantastic, look at all this profit we've got, we're not feeding any of it back into the business, we're not repairing damage, we're not tidying things up, we're not dealing with any sorts of obsolescence in the hardware if it's been raised, because at the end of the day, if you aren't raising this with your boss, it's not their fault. Because as far as they know, you have your machine for doing XYZ job. They don't know it's not doing the job anymore if you don't tell them. And the problem is sometimes if you tell your line manager doesn't want to get it in the neck from his manager, so it's not going to get up the chain. So yeah, if they are making a huge amount of profit and they're not folding it back into the business, they're not improving wages to say thank you, it's a dick move, but it is down to the business owners. Now, this is the consequences of their actions, and the headquarters has 74 workers and manufactures more than 500, or paints and supplies for more than 500 customers in 70 countries. The people who can actually make this difference are the 500 customers in 70 countries. You see, if a retailer was to reach out to their Vallejo rep and say, I've decided I don't particularly want to restock your paints due to your treatment of your workers, that will have a bigger and louder voice than the workers complaining. The strikes, you can't supply me my materials I need for my contracts, I can't provide them to my customers, I'm no longer going to do any business with you because you are not treating your workers correctly. That will go to the tippity top of that business, and that will be heard loud and clear. The company is one of the international references in the world of modelling, aimed at fans of miniature games, model building such as Warhammer. Yes. They're also much bigger in the model tank and historical models world. Vallejo have been consistently one of the greatest paint ranges out there. Definitely used by some of the greatest painters in the world. And then we just have all the usual gumph. So, no boycotts, no, screams for, people's heads on pikes and stuff. If you like Vallejo paints, the best thing to do is to keep buying them if you want them, but possibly look at the Vallejo website, and if they have a customer service email, write a polite email and say, hey, I'm a big fan of your paints, I really like them, I've been using them for many years, please work with your staff to address their concerns. Don't boycott, don't scream and shout and stamp your feet, because at the end of the day, there may be a reason that they have not given any sort of pay rises. This is the problem with a lot of businesses. You only see a very small slice of a business. You don't see a lot of other parts of it. You don't know what's coming down the line. You don't know that maybe there could be European law changes that are coming that could mean that they're going to have a huge cost increase, and they are saving that money now and not renewing things because they don't know how they can renew it. The machinery they have, for example, they may not be able to afford the machinery to replace it. They may not be able to afford, some machinery nowadays is listed by its environmental impact, and the European Union, God bless their cotton socks, loves to throw in laws that say you can't have machinery that doesn't fit certain environmental emissions regulations and other things. And you look at the ones that can, and they cost a fortune. It's like in California, for example, I think it's wood stoves. You can't buy just a wood burner. You have to buy wood burners that have certain carbon emissions, and the ones that have the carbon capture systems to have the low enough emissions are hugely expensive. So there's a lot of these things you have to pay for. Now, if it is just all being like, hey, look, we've given our CEO and MD and our financial director and all this like 15, 20, 30% bonuses, look at all the money these guys are making, then absolutely screw them, up theirs. People below you, I am a firm believer that as a business owner, it is your responsibility to look after your workers. They eat first. That has always been something that I believed in. you eat first or they eat first, you know, they get, if you don't get paid, or if there's not enough to pay everyone, you don't get paid. Like they get paid first. If there's not enough left over, you don't get paid. And that is the incentive to do better every single time. So this is a big one because it could have a knock-on effect. You know, if this goes on for a while, if it escalates, then Vallejo paints may dry up. They had problems coming back after COVID. They've just had a big rebrand. And as a knock-on effect, if their paints dry up, other brands may see more people buying their paints. So if there is anything you're desperately after paint-wise, maybe you're running low on, you know, German uniform number 30,604 grey, go pick up a couple of bottles from your local retailer or buy them from Element Games, etc, etc, etc. You know, subtle plug right there. Yeah, err on the side of caution. You know what it's like with GW. GW gets rid of their paints, sometimes completely unannounced. So if there is something you like, something you've found that you use a lot of, that is key to the way you paint your models, stock up. Buy, you know, spend your hobby budget for this month on 2 or 3 bottles of it instead of, you know, maybe buying a new kit. Throw some extra paints in. You know, they don't go off that quickly. You can put them somewhere nice, cool and dark, and they'll stay usable for a long time. Alright. That's enough of me bashing on unionists and trying to get you to buy more paints. What do you guys think about this? Do you still use Vallejo paints? Have you moved on to a different paint range? Maybe you've gone back to Citadel? Yeah, let me know what you think. Put your comments down below, and as always, have fun. Like, comment, subscribe, and if you feel like telling me how awful I am as a dirty capitalist who believes in a fair exchange for goods and labour, then, you know, thanks for the engagement. Alright guys, my name is Bando, this is Brexit Bando, bye bye.